consequences on any trade deal between the two countries.
With the Friends of Ireland and myself as chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, I've made it clear, because we handle trade, and my position has been reinforced assertively by Speaker Pelosi, that if you wish to have a bilateral trade agreement, which I think is important, by the way, and desirable, there could be no threat to the Good Friday Agreement and no conversation about the reestablishment of a border.
That's it for now. More in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA. For great value home insurance, go online to theaa.ie.
Cloudy and dry tonight, apart from some rain that'll arrive in the northwest towards dawn. Lows of 10 to 12 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The News Round on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
This is News Talk.
All right, it is Thursday's Off the Ball. Nathan with you till 10 o'clock this evening. Hope you're keeping well. 53106 is the text number. We've got a busy evening ahead. We'll have John Giles and Kenny Cunningham on the return of the Premier League. It is live and exclusive every Sunday afternoon here on Off the Ball. We've got West Brom against Leicester with Stephen Doyle and Kenny, and then myself and Brian Kerr will bring you Everton and Spurs on Sunday afternoon. We'll also be reflecting, of course, on Stephen Kenny's first two games in charge of the Republic of Ireland with John Giles. That coming up from 7:30. And after 8, we'll be talking about the split season in the GAA with Darren O'Sullivan and Shane McGrath, club players. How much have you enjoyed the last few months and having all the limelight and all your inter-county players which you're training? Is that the future for the GAA? That coming up after 8 o'clock as well. Ronan Mullen is with us this evening. Good evening.
Nathan, how are things?
I'm okay. And Richie McCormack is there as well. Good evening, Richie.
Men, how are you?
Very well. Very well. So obviously I'm excited about the return of the Premier League. Though I have just noticed that yesterday's announcement that all the games are going to be shown on television has meant that they have changed the kickoff times so that once again you can watch every game. And this pretty much ruined my summer due to the fact I found myself watching every game at 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. And I got back into a routine of, talking to my family and things like that. Yet now I find next Monday, out of nowhere, next Monday evening at 6 o'clock, Sheffield United are playing Wolves. And listen, as an Irishman, you just have to watch Sheffield United. And then at 8:15, there's Brighton against Chelsea. That's the day gone. Suddenly there's a game at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. West Ham against Newcastle. That is not a good way to spend your Saturday evening. Yet that's what I'm going to end up doing. This is bad for everybody.
Do you know what it's bad for? It's bad for the Premier League itself, because it kind of shows how, some matches don't necessarily have the luster of others. And it kind of puts that into stark relief for pretty much everybody to see, because it's televised. Whereas usually it will have the pick of the games of a Sunday, the pick of the games in midweek or whatever will be on Sky as well. But when you get into we do have Burnley versus Sheffield United live. It's kind of like, no. It's like, do you remember, think back to the days when they used to show Italian football on Channel 4 of a Sunday afternoon. Like, you would look forward to an AC Milan versus a Juventus. You would look forward to a Paul Gascoigne era Lazio against Sampdoria, something like that. What you wouldn't necessarily be, racing from the dinner table to go and watch would be, I don't know, your Foggias versus Lecce.
Yeah, when Verona turned up, I'd be thinking, come on.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the same thing in the Premier League. We've kind of got those stratas going on.
But even in the most recent fixtures, at the end of the last season there, where BBC made their much vaunted return to the Premier League made its much vaunted return to the BBC rather, and everyone was like, this is going to break all the records. And I think they debuted with Bournemouth against Crystal Palace, gave that to the UK people, and the UK people said, I think we're grand, and it didn't do the numbers that many people had pegged it for. But I think if they put appetizing games on, I'm sure they have a bit more time now to be able to divvy up the fixtures accordingly. And you should have.
No, BBC will have one game, I think, between now and September, and I don't think anyone would be surprised if every game between now and the end of the season ended up being televised again. They've gone to the end of September. They're going to end up continuing that. But the BBC have the 10th pick on one out of every 4 game weeks. So it's never going to be a good game.
Yeah, they're going to get the Foggia versus Lecce in terms of the Premier League. But you know what? Like Richard Masters, the Premier League chief executive, spoke about this yesterday. He was doing a round of interviews before the new season started just to get the major talking points out of the way. The Newcastle takeover was obviously one of them, but the other was the financial hole that the clubs are going to find themselves in. And the odd thing about this is that if they do show every game for the foreseeable, and I know they're being backed into a corner because crowds can't go to the matches, so they're trying to make up the financial shortfall somehow, and they're trying to do that by getting every match televised and keeping people happy and keeping people who can't see their clubs in the flesh happy that they can see them on TV. In the process, what they might be doing as well to the wider audience is cheapening the product and maybe not necessarily putting it in the best of lights, because if you see everything, then you see the entire picture. And if you see the entire picture and it isn't very pretty, then you might want to look at it again. And if you don't want to look at it again, then when it comes time to getting your casual fan back in the turnstiles when the stadiums do finally reopen, you're going to have that initial burst, of course you are. But beyond that, it might be a bit of a struggle. You might see the law of diminishing returns setting in for the Premier League. And if that does happen, then what you're going to see is a spiral of TV contracts being lessened and lessened.
TV contracts had already hit a peak, I think, certainly in the UK last time around. I guess the alternative is that they find the technology over the coming weeks whereby they can just stream this to season ticket holders or to individual supporters of certain clubs, and therefore it's not every game. And as you say, there is still some behind the paywall, and there's a sense of you're watching match of the day. God, I would have loved to watch that match between Burnley and Leicester and it finished 4-3, rather than sitting down at 12 o'clock on a Saturday and not quite knowing what you're going to expect.
I think it's crazy though in the era of streaming, and the Premier League is often ahead of the curve on lots of these things, but has been well behind it on control of its own properties, really, because even it was only the last couple of seasons where they started putting all their highlights on YouTube and that kind of thing, and leagues in America have been doing that for the guts of a decade already. So I think the collapse of that Chinese deal last week kind of brought this to the fore again, where a lot of people were saying it's only a matter of time before they centralise all their streaming rights. I know the UK rights are probably a different animal, but in terms of worldwide distribution of the Premier League, I think it's only a matter of time before that's entirely in-house. And it makes perfect sense that games that aren't televised should be freely available to subscribers to a Premier League network, that those 3 o'clock kickoffs that you can't see on TV or you can't attend, you should be able to watch like you can in almost every other professional league. So I think that again is only a matter of time.
Of course,
that's where you might see the European leagues.
The best place to listen to them, Richie, obviously. You don't even want to watch them. You just want to listen to them on the radio.
Yeah.
Brian Kerr and Kenny Cunningham this Sunday. Doesn't get any better than that.
Who's presenting on Sunday? Remind me of that.
Oh, damn it. It was all going so well, Richie.
Oh, yes.
Wow, there's a proper north side, south side divide. I'm going to be totally outnumbered by the Dubs. Brian Kerr, Kenny Cunningham, Richie and Steve-O and me providing something for the rest of the country. You know,
2 times balls, 2 times
down, as we now call them.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just giving the people what they want on Sunday, which is, 6 or 7 hours of me on the radio presenting 2 live games from the Premier League.
Mick says, too much football. Is that like too much chocolate, too much sex, too much money? Next you'll be complaining there's too much oxygen around the place. You want your head checked, son, says Mick. Yeah, you may well be right. One of the things that's going to be interesting is the quality of the games this time around, because when we came back, the Premier League title race was obviously done, so therefore Liverpool and Manchester City weren't quite the draw they would normally be because it didn't massively matter. Yeah, like Liverpool-Leeds is a big game. If Liverpool were to lose to Leeds on Saturday or even drop points, already you're going, whew, there's question marks there. And I think there's a bit more excitement and a bit more of a buzz around every match that maybe was lacking and sort of put people off the behind closed doors games. I can't, the YouTube clips at 5:30, can't recommend them highly enough. My 8-year-old brought this to my attention midway through last season. Here's me staying up late for match of the day, and as an old man, it's not finishing near midnight. Flicks on YouTube, 5:30, every game, 5-6 minutes highlights, all the goals, done. Beautiful.
Eldest lad is mad for them.
It's a whole new ball game. Goals on Sunday is a thing of the past, Nathan. Goals on Sunday. Sunday.
It's a whole new ball game. It's a whole new ball game. Somebody should come up with that as a tagline.
As a tagline, yeah.
If only.
The weird, I was watching, people who have ITV4, they might come across it at the weekend. They'll show the Big Match Revisited, which is like their highlights program from the 70s and early 80s. I think it's mostly 70s though. But it's this thing of a Sunday, a day after the games have been played, they'd only have highlights from 2 to 3 matches that were played the day before, and that was your lot. Like, I wouldn't mind going back to those days, for being quite honest, but, you know.
Lockie says you can't have too much of a good thing. It is true. I used to love Nevermind, but I listened to it until I wore out the grooves, and now I can't even enjoy Smells Like Teen Spirit, says Lockie. Well, whatever.
Smells Like Teen Spirit fact for you, Nathan.
I read it. Go on. Go for it.
You read it. All right.
No, go for it.
Today,
But the nation doesn't know.
This very day, September 10th, Smells Like Teen Spirit is closer in age to the recording of the Beatles' Love Me Do than it is to the present day.
Wowzers. How long have you been sitting on that for?
Not long. I actually only looked it up this morning. A friend of mine was saying, it's 29 years since Nirvana, so I kind of did the maths and worked it out, and there we go. Yeah.
You can be sick of Smells Like Teen Spirit, but not sick of Nevermind. Like, that's the one you'd skip through.
There's enough on Nevermind to get you through, I think, yeah. But Smells Like Teen Spirit, especially for the grizzled veteran DJs of the live milieu like me and you, Nathan, there's only so much of that you can probably take.
Yeah, Jesus, no. No chance. No thank you. Can you get that lad Ronan to say YouTube on a loop? Those sweet border tones are like catnip, says Glenn. Go on, Ronan.
This was a
give the people what they want.
This was a big bone of contention when I was studying in Galway, where everyone kept pulling me up on how I pronounced Facebook and these kind of things like that. So I can totally appreciate it. I've been there and done that.
Say it.
Say the word.
YouTube.
Quiet, Richie, so we can record it and we'll send it out to this listener. Say it again.
Sorry.
Is YouTube the word?
What's so special about that? I'm not getting it. Go on, Richie. Give us something.
Actual news.
Actual news.
Okay, fair enough. Sam Bennett ended the longest stage of this year's Tour de France with a 66-point lead over Peter Sagan in the quest for the green jersey. The Slovak sprinter pegged just 2 points off Bennett's lead today. The stage itself was won by Mark Hirschi, with his Sunweb teammate Nicholas Roach coming in 10th. Sunweb had 3 of the top 10 finishers today. Primož Roglic retains the overall leader's yellow jersey, but they're heading towards the mountains from tomorrow when general classification is going to be set into the mixer.
The Newsround, as always, brought to you with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. Richie, are you crazy? Early 90s Foggy, under the tutelage of Zdeněk Zeman. They were amazing to watch. All-out attack, kamikaze style. Every game is 7 or 8 goal thriller, says Joe and Concealy.
I realised Lecce was probably the wrong team to pick when I'm picking on her, Mr. Zeman, as Gascoigne used to call him when he was at Lazio, but I think my point holds.
All right. What's next?
It's been confirmed that Ireland will face Wales, England and Georgia in what's been christened the Autumn Nations Cup. The matches will be played in successive weeks, starting from Ireland's point of view from November the 13th. The RFU remain hopeful that some fans will be allowed to attend the game at Twickenham against England, and they may need to attend it because it's going to be streamed live only, it seems, on Amazon Prime. A fourth fixture will see Ireland face the team ranked in the same position as them in Pool B. That pool is comprised of France, Scotland, Fiji and Italy.
Back up there a second. In Ireland as well, it's just going to be streamed on Amazon Prime.
The game's rights, if the Autumn Internationals are anything to go by in previous instances, would be owned by the RFU, and they would be free to sell it to the highest bidder. And it seems that Amazon Prime will be the people they're going to sell it to. Now, if that's the case, as has been the case here before, Premier League games have been shown on Premier Sports in some instances where they've been broadcast on Amazon Prime in the UK. Whether that might rear its head again and they might end up on somewhere like Air, I don't know. We'd be only speculating, but it seems that Amazon is going to be the go-to place for England v Ireland in November.
All right. Listen to Nevermind at the suggestion of Jer, because I hadn't listened to it the full way through. Not that great, says Enda.
The thing about it is, if you come to an album like that with massive expectations, like 28, 29 years on, it's never going to live up to expectations.
Nothing will. Nevermind nearly does. Again, I almost skip past Smells Like Teen Spirit and then move on.
No, but you can understand. It's like it's like telling somebody to go back and watch a classic game or go back and read an amazing book that has just been hyped beyond bejesus for the last 2+ decades. It will never match what somebody thinks they're going to go in and get. Like they'll come out going, yeah, that's okay, but they won't have the same opinion of it as you because they haven't lived with it as long.
So do you think for the millennial, what should they be listening to get themselves into Nirvana? They'll probably just like the Unplugged.
They probably would, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'll go back and listen to Bleach.
No millennials listen to us anyway, so I don't know why we're giving them advice. It's fine. Newcastle and the Premier League. They're all on YouTube.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, there's a fight brewing in the Northeast, and not for the first time. The Premier League says it's disappointed and surprised with Newcastle's statement, claiming that the league rejected the club's takeover. This is in relation to bids made by PCP Capital Partners, the Reuben brothers, and perhaps crucially, the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. The Tyneside club says that the Premier League hasn't acted appropriately, but that the board has replied to Newcastle's assertion that the takeover has been rejected is incorrect. A €330 million deal was officially withdrawn on July the 30th.
The old pub league. It's going to lose one of its stars.
Oh, yeah.
Last orders in the pub league for John Sheridan.
See what you did there. It's reported that tomorrow's game with Bohemians will be John Sheridan's last in charge of Waterford. He's been lined up, it seems, to take over at the troubled English League One side Wigan Athletic. The former Republic of Ireland midfielder was only appointed at the RSC 9 weeks ago. In that time, he's taken charge of just 7 games, won twice, and as you mentioned there, Nathan, allegedly referred to the SSE Electricity League to his own players as a pub league.
Just to let you know that we've teamed up with Cadbury FC to kick off a brand new series of in-depth chats with some of the biggest names in football. Next week, we got a stellar one for you. It's Ian Wright and Sol Campbell. Arsenal fans, you will not want to miss this. We're going to bring it to you on OTB's social channels and on OTB Sports Radio this day next week. Check out cadburyfc.com for updates on promotions and giveaways. That is Ian Wright and Sol Campbell. Richie.
Yeah, elsewhere today, Nathan, Marcelo Bielsa confirmed he'll stay in charge of Leeds United for the coming season. The club yet to make an official announcement, but the Argentine confirmed the news at today's pre-match press conference ahead of that game at Liverpool. Safeway Open, the first tournament on the new PGA Tour season, is underway. Seamus Power is level par with 6 to play. Shane Lowry is level par with 7 to play this evening. The lead at Silverado is held by the Scott Russell Knox, who's 6 under par through 10 and holds a 2-shot lead over Brendan Steele. It's also women's US.
Sorry, I was going to say it was a bit in for both, actually. You're probably going to get onto the major in the women's golf as well. Both of them in California, and sort of the scenes from the wildfires yesterday at the Safeway at midday. It was pitch black because of the cloud from the wildfires. It was just insane to watch.
Yeah, it's a bizarre circumstance to kind of find yourself playing golf in when you see those pictures of the sky and they're pretty much all orange in the middle of the day. Like it's an odd thing to kind of find yourself playing golf in, but find themselves playing golf there they do. As you mentioned, the ANA Inspiration is also underway. I'll be bringing the scores of that in a moment, but in the Portugal Masters, Jonathan Caldwell 4 off the lead. At one point he was just 1 shot off the lead. The County Down golfer carding a 6 under par opening round of 65 today. Liam Johnson, though, blew everyone out of the water on 10 under par, 61 for him today. Gavin Moynihan ended the day on 2 under par with Cormac Sharvin on 1 under par. And women's semi-finals night it is tonight as well at the US Open, and Serena Williams looking to book an 11th career US Open final appearance. She is up against her old foe Victoria Azarenka, and before that the 2018 champion Naomi Osaka goes up against Jennifer Brady.
All right, great stuff, Richie. Thanks a lot for that.
Cheers, lads.
Ronan, go on, give us one final YouTube. I don't know what's up with our listeners, but they seem to be getting off on this. So we'll record that. Maybe we'll put it up as a podcast all on its own, just for the weirdos out there who are listening.
Let's not do that.
Border accent. Ronan, thank you. John Giles is up next.
It gives people in town hope.